the station in 30 seconds.
القطار المؤدي إلى مركز كارمل سيصل إلى المحطة خلال 30 ثانية.
The driver actually goes from the bottom part to the top part of it. I'm gonna make sure it gets cleaned every time. And there I am. Actually, that would be kind of distracting. All the way up to Hagal, and this was dug with very heavy equipment because the mountain itself is quite hard. Even though it's mostly a type of limestone, it's the hard version, so it's much more difficult to dig through. And I remember they were digging it when it was opened. I think it was in the late 80s or something like that. It was absolutely crazy, the whole idea. I think I rode this maybe once or twice with my parents when I was a kid.
Home Station محطة القطار المركز.
Nevi'im, very common name for streets here in Israel. Security, because why not? No smoking, obviously. You have to love universal symbols. I'm just going to be lazy and on the escalator. I think it's been the same color scheme since the 90s.
הרכבת שיורדת לכיוון העיר התחתית תיכנס לתחנה בעוד 30 שניות.
The train descending downtown will enter the station in 30 seconds.
Now this runs on
القطار المتوجه نحو المدينة السفلى سيصل إلى المحطة خلال 30 ثانية.
You always have to remember it's announced in 3 languages. So basically what happens is it runs in a cable. But because it runs in a cable, there are moments where they have to have a switch in the middle. So it depends which part you're in. Absolutely hysterical. So the thing is, I don't need to get the Shabtai Levi and to get to Herzl Street. Another very common name. So what I was saying was that what happens is, bathroom's locked. What happens is that because they run on a cable and you still have to have both of them at the same time, there's a point in the middle where there's actually 2 lines. So there's sections where there's 1 line and only 1 line, and then places where there's 2 lines. So this is actually timed really, really well, and they sometimes pass next to one another. And we're almost out. And here's the thing, we've actually traveled hundreds of meters up into the air. So this is the middle of Haifa. Just to give you an idea, a little bit, what you see in the distance is the ocean. Haifa is actually a very nice place, but it's also very busy. So you can see the ocean all the way down there. So I think we traveled, well, the Carmelit is not very high, but I think we traveled about 200-300 meters up. That's the top of Mount Carmel. It's the Dan Panorama Twin Towers. And this is the center of the city. Hope you enjoyed this. Kol tov.